We're ready whenever you are, Bethany.
I'm gonna take my drink. Seemed extra loud, sorry. Call to order the Architectural Review Committee meeting from McCordsville, Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Roll call.
Dr. Brian Burney.
Here.
Jenna Bentley.
Here.
Bethany Frost.
Here.
Jordan Adams. Here. Tom Strayer.
Here.
We have the April minutes to review and approve.
I move we approve the meeting minutes of April 15th, 2025.
Second.
You weren't here.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Old business?
Old business. So this should look familiar. 4 stars back. Come on up. Yeah. We got to review this for a few minutes last month before we kind of ran out of time. So you gave some direction to come on back. We've continued to work on it since then, and what we've kind of settled on thus far, and what staff would recommend, is the D.R. Horton homes on the 65-foot wide lots and the Silverthorne homes on the 80-foot wide lots. We've also tweaked a few elevations and pulled a few out, added a few in. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cheyenne, who will go through the more details. And then as we go through this, let us know what you would like to see on the screens.
Hi, thank you all for having me. I'm Cheyenne Hoffa with 4 Star. We're here today to talk about Stone Chase for our ARC, looking for a positive recommendation. We have a mix of 65 and 80-foot wide lots. This will most likely, like he said, be a multi-builder community, but 4 Star is a land developer and not a home builder. So these are examples of product that will most likely be built, but we don't have a contract with either of these builders to build on these lots yet. So I also have a representative from D.R. Horton and Arbor here as well, in case we need to get into the real nitty-gritty on some of these elevations. As Ryan mentioned, we've removed all of the Arbor product and just have the Silverthorne representing the 80-foot lots, and then the Horton product representing the 65-foot lots. We have removed those that were deemed not favored by you all and Ryan, both on the Silverthorne and the D.R. Horton product, and then we added a few more elevations for the D.R. Horton product. So if we want to look through the
D.R. Horton?
Yep, that's
First,
fine.
okay.
Okay. So
The date?
the Dayton.
Excuse me, let me just scroll through, Cheyenne.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be great. I think we have.
Gotcha. I'll kind of go to the colors. Oops.
The Fairfax. We've removed one of those elevations per your comments.
Yep. Yeah, let's do this. Whoa.
Harmony. This was a new one, I believe.
I think Harmony was in there previously.
Okay. The Johnstown, we removed one of those elevations. And I did confirm with Horton, which is kind of more of a plan commission item, that all of the Horton elevations provided do have a 24 square foot covered front porch.
Oh, okay.
The Bellamy, I think this was
That's a new one. Yeah. What's going on with this thing? There we go.
And the Chatham. This was also a new one. And the Stanford. Again, these would be for the 65-foot lots, and these are all D.R. Horton products. They would have the offering of a 3rd-car garage, but some of these are shown just with the 2.
And what was the projected language for masonry?
I believe it's 50% of the homes would have 50% brick or stone on the front elevation. The remaining homes can have less, so long as they have at least a wainscot on the front elevation and at least 2 siding materials.
Does the wainscot have to wrap 24 inches on the corners?
It does not.
A lot of these show it does not.
Yeah, it does not.
I really want it to wrap.
This is, I think, a larger discussion we're going to need to have. As we know, we've had a builder approach us a month or 2 ago with some concerns. And maybe we come back to that discussion point, because I think staff has continued to evaluate that requirement and has some concerns as well. So,
Well, I do feel that a change of materials is better accomplished at that point than directly on the corners. That the opportunities that they showed in their slides objecting were placed in the wrong location by the people that built the houses, and I don't think they really apply. And I personally have had to rehabilitate homes where masonry applied to the front without a wrap has literally fallen as one piece off the front of the house into the front yard. Had to clean it up, truck it out, put it back right. If it had wrapped on the corners, it would have stayed up. So I want it to wrap, not to mention it looks better, structurally more sound, and it leads to an appearance of a more substantial building from the street, I believe, and our current practice has been to require wraps. We have not yet decided to waive that or change it, I believe.
that is correct.
Well, and this does seem like, usually in the past, I thought if all that was required was a wainscot, that it did wrap the whole house.
Not always. That has been something we've done more recently, especially further north in town. We have not done that. So, for instance, Denny and White PUD, which is the Arbor project off of 500 North and 700 West, does not have that requirement. Trying to think what else. I think Gatherings does have it, which is adjacent to this, but it's an active adult project, so it's a little bit different. So we have not always done the wrap. And by wrap, I mean 4-sided wrap. I think Dr. Bernie's referring to a 24-inch corner wrap.
Yeah.
So we have kind of applied different standards depending upon where the project is located within the town limits. We generally have gone with the full wrap as you get closer to town center or further north in town. But again, we're asking you guys for direction on this. So I'm answering from a standpoint of what we've done historically. Certainly, if you wish to have something different, we can certainly talk about that.
Could you go over the total area of primary architecture on front elevation F2 on the Fairfax 2 garage? There's math shown on there, and I want to be sure that with our 3-car garage, it has the appearance of being the majority of the front elevation. However, the math seems to work out as done here. Can we agree the math is correct or not?
I just spoke with DR Horton earlier today, and you were asking about the Fairfax specifically, correct?
Yeah, this is like where it says total area of primary architecture 429 and ends with 26.76%. And it appears to be looking at the garage doors, but I thought it was the entirety of the garage width, including from one side to the other side to the columns,
I thought it
if you
was
will.
just the opening.
It is, the town has always interpreted it as just the doors. So in this case, a 16-foot wide door and an 8-foot wide door, 24 feet, and then divide that by the total width of the house.
But I admit, appearance-wise, it looks like it's garage with.
It looks like 75%, 65% garage to me, just eyeballing it.
Speaking with Horton earlier today, the Fairfax 3-car garage is at 54.55% of the garage. The garage door is that percentage of the front width of the home.
And we'll say and again, we're starting to get well, I guess this is very much still architectural items. So we did go back and look at some of our recent PUDs in the area to look at what percentages of garages were adopted in those. What Four Star is proposing, which is a 50% on a 2-car and a 58% on a 3-car, is in keeping with the Gatherings PUD, which is immediately next door, the Denny and White PUD, and the Hampton Walk PUD. So they're, again, PUDs are not precedent setting, but historically we have had similar garage door percentages.
And this rendering does not show, but the PUD does indicate that the garage doors will either have windows or,
So they will be
hardware.
decorative?
Yes,
All of them, or just the 3-car garages?
all of them.
I believe
So we'll
it's-
have decorative windows in all the garages?
No, it will have a decorative nature of some sort, either windows or decorative hardware.
Can you go over for us what decorative hardware is?
It's going to be the handles or those straps that you see on garage doors.
So there would be straps between the sections vertically? They're like strap hinges?
Like horizontal, I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah,
It would be horizontal ones?
yes,
Yeah.
So totally decorative, not structural.
yes, not structural.
I do like it that the 3rd-car garage is under the main part of the house rather than stuck on the side like a shed. That's nice. And can you speak, some of these have only one ingress egress unless you count the garage? They have a front door but no back door. Like the 2 stories have a rear exit. So if you look at the schematics, I don't see a rear door on many of these homes.
They would have to
There's
have a
gotta
rear
be.
door. Building code would require a rear door.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it does, but some of them don't show a rear door on the non-colored drawings of the rear elevation. Like if you look at the Fairfax, this one, if you scroll down to the rear elevation, which of those is a door?
Well, none of those are. I believe the door, I'm assuming, is on this bump out of some sort here, or is it an inset, correct? There's an inset here, and the door's gonna be on either this side or this side, I don't know which.
So if we look at the side views, show me the door.
Well, it's inset.
I don't
This is an
see,
inset.
I still don't see the door, all I see is windows.
So it will be
He's
on
saying
this-
that goes in, so you wouldn't see the door on either side.
Well, why don't we see it on the side view?
Because
It's like-
it's inset,
going
it's a
in.
porch.
On
it's
both
not out.
on both of them.
It's like a 3-sided courtyard.
It may show on the floor plan.
Yeah, I stripped the floor plan out of the
Oh, okay,
online
no
versions
worries,
because
no
they
worries.
wouldn't upload.
That's okay.
But we can get there.
There's a bunch of them where I can't see a rear door. It's not just this one. If we'll want to establish that the others have bump outs too, because you really need a
That's
second exit
It's
to.
not a bump out, it's a bump in.
Well, okay, whichever, but can we look at the other plans that don't have doors? I could call them out and scroll through.
Let's just go to that particular one. That was the Fairfax, correct?
Mhm.
Like the Dayton F2 shows a rear door.
I pulled them out of this because the file sizes were too big. I can assure you, Dr. Birdie, they have rear doors.
Okay, did they have ingress, egress windows from the bedrooms?
They have to meet Indiana building code.
Well, that doesn't necessarily require an ingress, egress window. It's up to local, and we're silent on it, I believe. I spoke to the fire chief this afternoon, and he prefers that they have ingress, egress windows,
So
but
I-
tells
But
me
it
we
should
can't
be
require
by-
it.
It should be IBC residential, which has those codes in it.
Yeah, I believe egress windows are going to be required by code. Eric would know for sure. He's obviously not here tonight. But there also, we are approaching a area where we cannot require things that are in excess of Indiana building code. We cannot do that. So if Indiana building code does not require an egress window, we cannot require an egress window.
Right, so I'm just saying, if there isn't an egress window, we've brought it up, and the builder is aware of it, and if they don't do it, and there is a fire death because of that, it's not our fault, and I'd like to have that in the minutes if I could.
Noted.
Thanks. So that's, I guess, builder's discretion.
You know, I think I'll be prepared to come back next month with a detailed response to this type of question, which are really more global questions.
Well, I just don't want to get blamed for approving it and then have a death because there was no exit. Now, I understand that there's not a problem waiving that on like apartments and rental structures if they're sprinkled, but we have no requirement for sprinkling either. That also would be optional. It's a big expense, but it results in a lower insurance cost for the occupants.
I'm going to assume that all of these windows are in bedrooms are ingress, egress. Yeah. Not a home builder, I do apologize. But
Well, I don't
we
have the
could
floor
probably
plan,
make
so I don't
that-
know which windows go to
Yeah.
bedrooms.
And
Just saying.
there's a commitment we could make in the PUD if that is something that's
Well,
make or break on this, but
this is something we will get answered before town council, which would be in June at the earliest, so.
Well, my understanding is we can't require it. But at the same
Correct.
time, I don't want to be blamed for it for not requiring it, which is exactly what will happen if there's a death.
Yeah, but state statute's pretty clear on the building code and essentially preempting locals on the ability to deter from that. And so I hear what you're saying. I'm glad it will be reflected in the minutes, but that was a decision the General Assembly made, and it's clear to me.
Right. I agree. But it's not our fault that they decided that.
Correct.
We're not like, oh yeah, this is okay.
Correct.
Just don't agree it's okay.
We're also not the ones approving, we're not approving floor plans.
But ultimately, the builder decides what's to build, and they've been duly pointed out that we need ways to get out if there's a fire. And as the fire chief said, the garages are typically full of things that block ingress and egress. They're not kept clear like doors that have to open.
Good. Anything else?
And the porches are all the right size. Garages are all, how big?
440 was the
The
what
minimum.
we have agreed to.
Great.
I did denote 3 concerns. I'd like to get the ARC's input on.
You want to talk about the shutters
On one of them, yes.
and the transition boards without articulation changes in the wall?
Correct. Here's the Bellamy. So the first thing I was just trying to understand, this thing here on all 3 elevations is like a wooden faux window.
There's a closet there, and so in order to not lose space in the closet by having a window, because we know people have a lot of stuff and put a bunch of stuff in their garages, we want them to have as much closet space as possible. That window it's just kind of like an architectural feature, since it looks like a window should go there, but since it's a closet, we have that instead as kind
So
of
why didn't you just keep it off of there rather than making it look like something? I think it looks weird.
I think because it would have looked like a blank space that maybe
I mean,
some
if
would
it-
think it looked like something needs to go there versus, but I understand your perspective there as
But
well.
it's not something to meet a requirement, it's just aesthetics.
It's aesthetics, correct.
I mean, is it, what's inside of it?
It's closet, he said.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Oh.
what's the material?
I believe it's the same material as the shutters, which is like a.
It's probably
I
a
don't think they're wooden. I think they're like a.
composite
Yeah.
material. Sorry, it's really dark.
I mean, that's a small enough area, I think it would look a whole lot better just to be siding, but.
There you go. What is that? Is
That's
that
what I was
a actual window into the attic, or is it like a faux window?
I think it's a faux window.
So could that be incorporated, or a faux window be incorporated here and not lose closet space, but actually look like a window?
Yeah, I could bring that to the DR Horton team for sure.
I don't know.
My
Yes.
only concern is then it would have to be pretty much filmed on the inside, and that's in conditioned space. The other one isn't, so you could end up with condensation problems.
It does kind of look like something's boarded up there. It almost looks like there's a shutter placed over that spot in the siding, because it's very structurally and like the shutters in appearance, other than it's 4 1x4s wide instead of 3.
I mean, it's not a big deal to me. It just, it calls attention to an area that would probably be better not to call attention to.
Can the vertical siding be extended over? All the way just to,
I would say probably yes.
And that vertical white board as you're facing it, the right side of the window, is there a step back there, an articulation, or is that flat?
I believe it's flat, which was the next bullet point that we had, was we have a few locations on both projects tonight where we have, it appears to us, and Cheyenne, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears like we're trying to represent articulation without actually having any articulation. It's just always seemed odd to me to have a transition board between materials, but there's not actually a corner break.
Yeah, they
And,
usually denote a corner.
Right.
And if there was a corner, there'd be another one going back in some cases.
And I think it's just a transition between the two materials of the kind of board and batten and the more traditional looking siding.
Do you know the dimensions of the overhangs, how far they come out? Having trouble finding them on the
I
drawing.
believe they're 8 if adjacent to siding and 11 or 12 if adjacent to brick, or maybe it's the other way around, sorry. 11, 12 next to siding, 8 next to brick.
Mhm.
I think it's less next to brick, but I don't see them called out on the dimensions.
They are probably not at this level of detail. That's listed in the PUD ordinance.
Yeah, and speaking with Horton again earlier today, some of those little requirements like that may not necessarily be represented here, but they intend to meet the requirements of the PUD.
So
With
basically, you
overhangs.
represent that you'll meet all the requirements of the PUD. So we don't have to ask about each of these things.
Correct.
Fair enough.
that's on the Stanford 2, the Stanford M2 as well.
Yeah, I think we had the same issue on the Stanford M2 and, yeah, just the Stanford M2, yeah.
I would be much more concerned if you were trying to do that to meet a requirement. I just think it looks, not trying to be mean, but it looks cheap.
Mhm.
And it would look better if you use the materials the way.
They're intended.
There it is there as well. Oops.
I would also like it if any additional elevations need to be added later, that they come back to the ERC rather than being rotely removed or approved by staff. That sort of relieves you all of the burden of making that decision and places it in the hands of the people who have volunteered to make those decisions, which is where I think it belongs. Transparency, government by the citizens, you know.
I hate to start removing detail, but some of this detail, I think, that one actually looks
Yeah.
like it's a step in,
Mhm.
Correct.
which looks a whole lot nicer.
Mhm.
That's what, I think that's why staff called it out, is we have 3 elevations of the Stanford. 2 of them are flat. This one does step back. You know, why don't they all do that? And again, we have that window thing here, looks like. I think. Yeah.
So would you like to remove the L2 and M2 for both of those floor
We'd rather
plans?
make them look like the third one.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, as Ryan was saying, it has to be in the plan on the ones, so I'm not sure why it wouldn't be in the plan on the other two.
I think generally speaking, the step back looks better. And the shutter thing, I think I'd like to see renderings with it totally removed, or a faux window if that's possible with the closet. But I hear you on the condensation problems. The shutter to me looks like it's a boarded up window. So just giving you general feedback on where I'm at. Those are the two items for me.
Well, maybe we could approve what we can approve, and ones we have questions on, could come back for approval later.
Sure.
Would give them enough to get started.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Any
So
other?
can you call off which ones we have questions on that should come back, Ryan?
Yeah, it would be all versions of the Bellamy that has the wood faux window thing, and then Bellamy L2 and M2, and the Stamford L2 and M2 would have to come back due to the transition board, assuming that's what you want to do. Or if you just want to stick with just the wood one, that's fine too. It's up to you guys.
So I move with the exception of those that we approve what's been presented as presented, with the exception that the wainscot wraps continue 24 inches around the corners before a material transition.
Is there a second?
What's been the conversation with DR Horton on the wainscot wrap?
Preferably not to do that. Well, both with Silverthorne and with DR Horton.
So really that's a question for us, is if we want to see that. Ryan, you've mentioned in the surrounding neighborhoods that they do not have that, but you are wanting that in all future developments.
We've always done it, and we
Okay.
haven't decided to change it.
Okay.
And here we have a builder who's just changing it, and I'm not in favor of changing it for this builder until we change our policy of not requiring it. And we haven't decided to do that yet.
It wasn't in the Denny White PUD, I know.
Yeah, it has not been done in every PUD. It has been done in the majority of the last few years, the vast majority of the last few years PUDs, but it's not been done in all of them.
I think we did approve one model being built not that way.
We did that for Rockport.
I think so, yeah.
And I can tell you that that particular builder for both Rockport and Helms Mill is filing a PUD amendment to seek a change to both those two PUDs to remove the 24-inch corner wrap requirement. So that will go through its process and ultimately make it to the town council to make a decision on that.
Yeah, they also were going to come back and explain to us more about it, but they didn't.
Yep, correct. They're coming next month.
And I told Ryan, it's my feeling that that 2-foot wrap does make the house look better if it was designed originally into the house design. If it wasn't and it was tacked on, it can actually look worse and work worse. So I've not been pushing it as much. Unfortunately,
I've driven a few of our neighborhoods, and I would kind of agree. It's appearing like a tack on. I think it could look very nice, but it's not what's happening in practicality. It's in some cases, irregardless of the constructability issue that Dr. Burney brought up earlier about them falling down and all that sort of stuff. In many cases, because of the way they're doing the corner wraps, it actually looks better without the corner wrap. Especially if they use a nice white trim board on it, it seems to really help the look of it. Again, I would love to do the 24-inch wraps if they looked like they're supposed to look, but they just don't.
That's where I'm at after driving around and looking at wraps.
So why are the wraps so bad?
I don't know that I can explain
What's
it, but
the
as you-
problem?
If they aren't designed in from the beginning and they fall in a strange place, or the detail isn't such that it makes sense, then just like these shutters put on the front of the houses, they look like it's tacked on.
Well, it's like, the house gets built and there's a gutter there or an electrical meter there, and then it gets jerry-rigged. In actual fact, if it was designed, those interferences wouldn't be there, would they? That's what you're getting at, I guess.
Yes.
So could we make a recommendation without the wrap, but then the town council could reconsider? I think personally where I'm at is I'm not ready to blanket require it, given the surrounding neighborhoods and how the wraps are currently being done.
I think what you could
agree with
do
that.
is provide some direction to the plan commission and to the town council that you would like them to give consistent direction on
Sure.
the 24-inch corner wrap,
Sure.
whichever way that may go, and that's gonna come to a head over the next 60 to 90 days is my guess.
Yeah, feels like it.
And this isn't going to help, but one of the reasons that I had originally recommended it was for appearance reasons and aesthetics. If they say that it's not feasible, then I'd almost like to see what other additional thing would be feasible for them if they can't do this.
Certainly, I think there's gonna be an expectation for the projects that already have it in their PUD that they need to provide something else to make up for that. This one's a little bit different scenario because it's brand new and it hasn't committed to anything yet because we haven't approved anything yet.
Well,
And-
full masonry on the whole
The whole
full
first floor?
structure would fix
No, it wouldn't. I think 100% masonry houses are a bit boring.
Yes,
I do
it's like
like
a
the
jail.
change in materials, but I feel that the brick wainscot that wraps just that far would probably look a little bit funnier than having a full height that wasn't designed in, because then you have a strange corner on the front of the house, and so I would be fine pulling back from that wrap requirement if there was something else that made sense, and part of it is the wood trim that they pull through there. But still, it seems like every one of these go-rounds, we pull back on our standards. So if we're asked to be pulled back, I would like to see what they're doing in place of it.
And I'm actually a Three Little Pigs story believer.
Who said that again?
I'm actually a Three Little Pigs story believer. Mother Nature is real and she's tough, and she's going to huff and puff, and she's going to blow the house down if it's not really well built. Masonry houses statistically survive
Sure.
high winds better than any other siding structure.
So we have a motion, but it includes the wrap, and I think that's the issue. We either need to vote on that, or an amendment, or something.
Well, it never got a second.
I know.
Well, we need
Correct. It appears that it's died for a lack of a second. Up here, it's your guys' decision.
Yes.
So my motion would be that we approve those except for the ones we specifically called out.
Okay.
And then you would come back with the setback conversation and the shutter conversation.
Good. So I think just to clarify that, what we will do is we pull those out of the approved list.
Yes.
And they can always present them back to you in the future as if they were any other new elevation.
Okay.
And I would also add to that, I think Dr. Burney also mentioned he prefers language in the PUD that new elevations must come back to the board and cannot be approved by staff. Is that part of your motion as well?
I didn't put that in my motion. It's my personal preference that the committee do its job and we be allowed to do it. I think you have plenty to do.
Are you open
I'm
to-
comfortable including that in the motion.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And just a quick remark, taking out that shutter feature or something, I'd like to see something that made sense put in its place, but I can't tell you what that is.
Okay. I appreciate that.
So next up, I don't think we necessarily need to scroll through every single one of these. It probably maybe use the staff report as a guide here.
These.
Did I even call any out for this one? You already had to pull them out, correct? The ones.
Yep, I pulled them out.
Okay. Staff had no further comments on the Silverthorne line.
So, yep, this is the Silverthorne line, which is for the 80-foot wide lots.
Yep. Are there any particular ones that you guys would like to see?
So the ones that are listed in your staff report are not in the pictorials, right?
That is correct. That was really more of just solidifying that we had already removed these. We had done that work behind the scenes. It's also a great resource for us in the future so we can remember what we pulled out. So we keep these in our folders. So.
Well, that's helpful. I see rear doors on all of them. I don't really have any problems with any of them.
Good to hear.
If the committee has no issues with any of the elevations, I move that we accept the Silverthorne package as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you.
Thank you. I
in
appreciate everyone's time
50
again
minutes.
tonight.
Thanks.
All right. Mark, you're up. Fisher Homes, request for recommendation on the product lineup for Lane Farms, just south of Hampton Walk.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, my name is Mark Leach. I'm a land use planner with Faegre Drinker, offices at 600 East 96th Street in Indianapolis. As Ryan said, this is actually Lane Farms at Hampton Walk is kind of the working title. Probably won't be the community name, but it is directly south of Hampton Walk, which was approved in 2022. This site is about 75 acres, northwest corner of West 650 North and North 600 West, so directly south of Hampton Walk. Lot sizes are approximately 50 feet to 70 feet wide. There'll be 182 single-family lots, 25% open space, which is about 2.5 units an acre, 23 acres of open space, very similar to what's being constructed in Hampton Walk. We've got a list of about 250-ish elevations, and 150 of those have been previously approved by you guys. And so tonight, I think we're at 101 new elevations that you've never seen before. And I'll leave it at that. Mindy Westrick Brown with our offices here as well, and Amanda Deerdorf with Fisher Homes. Happy to answer any of your architectural questions. Thank you.
Well, in sub-area A, there's a couple that are just too plain.
Dr. Bernie, did you have any that were not on the staff list in the staff report for Area A?
Well, let me see. There are homes in here that are on there called out in your staff report as being removed, I think. And in Area A, there's quite a few. But they haven't been removed. And I share the concerns of your staff report, although maybe not to the extent that you do. But
And maybe clarify, the list for Area A in the staff report, some of them were ones that staff just felt were plain, for lack of a better term.
yeah.
And some of them were where we were concerned the front porch did not meet what has been our
Yeah, the porches
square
are
foot, or
porches are too small.
there's a transition break without an actual transition, things like that we have.
Some of them, there's roof pitch problems. Some of them are okay. But, you know, like, take, for instance, Model Beacon Farmhouse with Brick, Sub-Area A, Maple Street. I think it's the second one, that one. It's just too plain. And I don't know what the roof pitch is, but it looks like it's about a 412.
PUD requires a 512.
Yeah.
And again, it's a drop down of our standards. Don't we usually look for 612 unless there's a particular style of the house that requires a flatter roof like a modern home?
Yeah, we do generally require 612, and in fact, Hampton Walk, the original Hampton Walk, was 612 everywhere except for the patio series.
I don't know why we'd break it here. We got a single gable. We've got a relatively flat roof, a small front porch. It's just plain. There's no feature to the garage door. It looks like just a white wall.
I will say too, generally, as we kind of go through sub-area A through D, sub-area A is kind of the lowest price point. So it is giving kind of a lower price point, entry point kind of for some of the, I guess for this neighborhood. So you'll see, you know, as we move through the sub areas, the kind of average size is going to increase and average cost is going to increase as well. So this is approximately 367 to 442,000 in for the Maple Street collection. So these are kind of the still very nice, expensive homes, but definitely not as high as once we get to Masterpiece. We're looking at $615,000 to $800,000 homes. So
It doesn't quite live up to the section of Hampton Walk, which is placed directly north of this. It's like you're putting this directly to the highest part, directly adjacent to the highest end of the current Hampton Walk.
So I don't have.
I guess you're putting Area D next to that, and Area A is the farthest south.
Correct.
Right?
Maple Street collection. If we have a site plan, we can pull up. I don't know if you have one easily, but Maple Street's kind of the southwest corner.
Well, that's a little
of
bit
the
beyond the purview of the ARC, but if you take like the Breckenridge, you know, I think that's okay. I have a problem with the roof pitch and the general plain appearance of the Cumberland. The one Cumberland with the kind of roof extension of the smaller gable over the front porch, although it's stepped back. I just think that looks weird with an asymmetrical gable.
Well, and I don't know if working through the level of housing is really part of this committee, but I will say that it seems, being on our main corridor of Mount Comfort, I think this is an area that we want to see higher end than what I'm saying here.
Yeah, and we've put all of our masterpiece collection, which are the highest end, $615,000 to $800,000 homes. Those are all on the east side, right against Mount Comfort Road.
Yeah, what
So-
you've done so far looks so nice. I almost hesitate to have some of these Area A homes seen directly from Mount Comfort Road.
And they wouldn't be. They are tucked into the
Mhm.
western part
Mark,
of the
can you kind
site.
of point out on the screen which areas are which?
Sure, so this is Maple Street. This is the area we're talking about currently.
Mhm.
So that looks like one of the largest areas.
I don't have a lot breakdown, I don't think.
30% of the project.
Let's see.
What are the two right along Mount Comfort Road? What are their,
This is the masterpiece here.
so that's part of Hampton Walk? And then,
These are all technically parts of Hampton Walk. We just, the patio name has been updated. So before, when you saw patio, that's now the Designer 40, which is right here, this section.
well, this is Lane, right?
Lane property, yes, sir.
And it has 4 sections. Can you call off which are the 4 sections there by letter on the,
Sure. Sub-area A is Maple Street.
that's purple.
Correct. Sub-area B is Designer 40 collection, which is kind of
So
our
that's
red.
B.
Sub-area C is Designer collection
Oh,
up
that's
here.
master.
And then sub-area D is Masterpiece along that Comfort Road.
Mhm.
Yeah, D are the nicest looking ones.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, we felt the locations of these different areas were in the correct locations.
Mhm.
And obviously, the council and plan commission are thinking these same things, and it's really up to them to figure that part out. It concerns me when I see that we step down the level so quickly, so pretty much automatically, what happens in the next development is going to be this level or down. But
When you say the
That's-
next development, you mean like
like the
somebody else
next
coming?
development south of here
Oh.
isn't going to be better than your section.
It'll be across the street from your A, and then I think what Tom's saying is go across the street and it'll be a step down from that. It's unlikely to be a step up, I think, but
Across the street is the school and.
although that might have to change some with Senate Bill 1. Because you guys got to sell them, then we got to support them for 30 years based on tax revenue they produce. Or
Yeah.
longer, maybe 70 years.
And I talked to Ryan about this, we're going to have to get some direction in this committee from what the council and the planning commission wants to see, because this discussion isn't necessarily something that this committee has control over, but we haven't been given any direction yet either, so.
I think the key here is, as a board, you're the first folks that see this in the public sphere, right? Staff has seen it before. You're the first board to see it, and so we're asking for you to give us general feedback on the product itself, the overall product. Give us feedback on it. It doesn't have to be, we have to make an exact decision tonight. It is, hey, we don't love certain aspects of the Maple Street series. Please go back and work on that before you go to Plan Commission. And then the next piece of it, I think, is if there are some specific elevations that you have issues with architecturally speaking, telling us about those so that those can hopefully be removed from the packet. The petitioner would agree to that.
Well, I think most in A I could approve with large enough porches. It's mostly the kind of like the Da Vinci and one of the Da Vincis.
The urban modern, probably.
Can I
Yeah.
make a general comment,
And
Ryan?
the Beacon, maybe?
Good evening, everyone. I know most of you. My name is Amanda Deerdorf. I'm the Land Acquisition Manager for Fisher Homes here in Indianapolis. Let me preface this as well. Obviously, we've had sort of a learning curve, right? At Hampton Walk, we all have. And We're excited about how the neighborhood is shaped up. I think hopefully the town is excited as well. We cannot deny, though, we're in a different business cycle and economic time right now, and we are trying to offer. If the Maple Street at where's the pricing here? You know, our pricing in there, we start in the upper 300s as an entry point into Hampton Walk. That is still an extremely. That's not affordable. That's not entry. That's absolutely a move up home. Even the Beacon, this is what I'm quoting right now. So, and we go up to the high 400s in the Maple Street series that we're currently building in Hampton Walk. This series in the purple that you're first looking at, area A here, it's the same homes. We have included a few more floor plans, a few more elevations that this board previously denied. The Jensen is one in particular that I'm concerned about, is our number one selling home that the board has said we don't like any of the, or staff, excuse me, has said they don't like any of the elevations. That's our number one selling plan from what we're currently building at Hampton Walk. So it's just sort of interesting. And I just want to point this out. We're trying to offer something here for, you know, your teachers, your public safety, which I don't even know if that's attainable at Hampton Walk, but something that is going to build the fabric. Yes, do we move up in price point? Absolutely. But as we've been given good guidance by staff that they want the perimeter of the neighborhood to look a certain way driving in, approach on Mount Comfort Road, we've respected that and kept that consistent from the north to south. We are not looking to dumb this down. It's not a different neighborhood. We're looking at areas that we can remove as a burden on the homeowner, that we don't feel like the consumer's going, yes, I see value in a 24-inch brick return on the side of the home, to kind of echo what my colleagues in the room are saying. There's not a value that they'd rather have that in a bigger home that maybe has another bedroom, or they'd rather have something in the kitchen, something tangible. And so, again, we offer great architecture, masonry on all the fronts, hardy sides, rears, 3 materials on the front, a lot of included features, etc. Some of the other things that we're looking to just get some relief off in this section is because interest rates are different, is because consumers are having to spend more at the pump, at the grocery, etc. And we want to include them in this multi-generational community that is Hampton Walk. Different price points, different walks of life. We think that's really important.
Okay, so you want to withdraw this and represent it as affordable housing?
300 to 470,000 is not affordable
Well,
housing.
you said teachers. 50% of our
My
teachers.
parents were both teachers.
50% of our teachers cannot
it.
afford to live in our school district right now.
Correct.
We've addressed this separately, and it requires a state law change to do it. If we want teachers to be able to buy homes in McCordsville, we need a state law change. It's not your problem. Okay?
Well, and I think
And
we
I
d-
will also say, aside, that Hampton Walk is very well received, and there's nothing but sold signs on homes all over the place that have much higher price points and are nicer looking than these. So I don't see the problem. They're selling like hotcakes.
I think it's a balance. I
There's
think
sold
we offer
signs all
something,
over your development.
and I think it's a balance. I think
You
that we
don't-
provide something for everyone, and that's
No,
our
you-
goal.
You don't have a problem selling them at all. They're going like crazy. You're very
Well, I
well
think that's her
received, which
point,
is
though.
good.
Can
I
I-
will say that, I'm not saying that all of the sub-area A Maple Street are bad houses. There's some really nice ones in here.
Yeah.
Some of them I have some concerns about, and the number of A and B, which takes up easily 2/3 of the development. But once again, that's not our decision.
To that point, Mr. Strayer, the other issue logistically that we're running into is anti-monotony. And having what's actually happening is you have a more monotonous streetscape because we have so few in area A to choose from. And to the north as well. We've actually had to go through and plan what every house is going to be to meet the anti-monotony requirements, color packages that even Fisher imposes on itself, and the consumer is losing choice. They have to pick this plan on with this elevation on this lot because it's the only one that will fit, because we just simply don't have the product. And so again, here we are with streets where you've got homes across the street and on either side, more so with the grid pattern to match more of a downtown feel, which again has been driven by staff. Another reason why we wanted to add more plans, more elevations into this lineup, into this round of ARB. So there's real business reasons behind it, so.
So have these lower pitched roofs been approved already in the rest of Hampton Walk?
So what was called the patio series previously has 512 roof pitches. The ARC also approved some Maple Street series homes as being able to have a 512. So Maple Street's got a little bit of a split in it. All of the patio series is 512, but the other 4 districts in Hampton Walk are all at least 612. So that was one of the staff comments, was we thought we were kind of just repeating Hampton Walk. That was the goal here. But this PUD proposes 3 of the 4 districts having a 512 pitch. So it seems like we are going a little bit away from some of the things that we did in Hampton Walk.
Well, if it's really Hampton Walk, it's not up to the standards of the rest of Hampton Walk. If it's a separate PUD, that's probably a different story.
It is a separate PUD. So I think what I'm hearing is some concern over some of the Maple Street elevations, and maybe the direction is for staff and the petitioner to work on that section and come back next month. I'd like to kind of fast forward to a concern that staff has, and it's not a concern with their product, it's a concern more globally. So in the staff report under Area D, we listed a whole bunch of elevations. And I think that probably struck the petitioner a little bit at odds as, wait a minute, why are you listing concerns on our Masterpiece Series homes? And the reason that the vast majority of those homes are listed is because they don't meet our, at least from what I can tell, they don't meet the 24 square foot front porch requirement that we've been including in PUDs since Hampton Walk. Hampton Walk does not have that requirement, by the way. So staff needs direction on, do we want to maintain what we've been doing the last few years with 24 square foot front porches, or change that up? Because I can look at a bunch of these Masterpiece Series homes that do not have the porch, and they're gorgeous homes, no doubt about it.
Can you show an example? And with that in mind, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were just here for new Masterpiece plans during Hampton Walk, maybe 6 months, 8 months, year, I don't know, Mark, whenever that was.
It was October 15th of last year.
And this board approved them, but just on the porch specification, to your point, excuse me.
Yeah,
would
Hampton Walk doesn't
qualify.
have this porch specification, so that's the issue, is
Yeah.
not adopted in Hampton Walk. You may have been the last one that didn't have it, because we've been doing it for at least 18 months. So like, here's one that, again, I'm looking at a color rendering, but I don't think that covered stoop is gonna calculate it out to 24 square feet. Very, very attractive house. This is not really a Fisher Homes problem. This is we need to decide what we want in a standard problem.
I certainly don't want to
There's one.
throw out a good, aesthetically good-looking house on an aesthetic technicality. If we have the ability within this committee to say, yes, we feel this meets the ideals of what we want to see, not the letter.
Well, if they're going to show us homes like these, and the problem is the porch is a little too small, I don't really have a problem with that. I wouldn't disregard a home that looks like this because the porch was a couple square feet small. I would walk right past it.
So I agree.
On the other hand, if you show me a very plain, single gable homes, a single story. Garage is half the house on the front elevation. And then the porch is small. I'm going to have a problem with the small porch there, among the other things.
So I
But
agree.
a home like this, if the porch is small, so be it.
So I would agree. I would love to see.
We want this sort of appearance. That's great.
I would love. to see-
And the world has changed for us too. We now have Senate Bill 1. So what we get from tax assessments from these buildings that we have to support them on after you've moved on to the next field for decades is much less. So we're operating in a different financial world now too. And it's not just people at the pump. It's also municipalities. It's 350 pages and we get less.
So I would agree. I would love to see this home built in McCordsville. It's a beautiful home. What I am fearful of is putting additional burden on our permit reviewers, right? So it's one or the other. We either have a 24 square foot porch requirement in Area D, or we don't have one. What I do not want to have is, hey, in Area D it is a 24 square foot porch unless ARC approves otherwise. That becomes a tracking administrative review process nightmare for our staff members, which there's 3 of them that do permit reviews.
But what if we approve them? So, say we approve this one, that it meets the intent. Then do you have to go back and check it at that point?
We do. We still need to go back and check. So I mean, they're going to have to maintain a database of everything. So it's really easy when we have an Excel spreadsheet that shows what all the black and white standards of the PUD are. We have one for every single PUD in town, and it's got overhang depth, porch requirement, garage requirements, window requirements. It's really easy to edit that for each PUD. You use that as essentially your checklist, and you review your plan set. When you start introducing, you have to have these if, ands, or buts to it. It becomes much more challenging. I'm not complaining about workload, but I am going to say that we are introducing many opportunities for mistakes to be made by making it overly complicated.
Like I said, you have enough to do. So how can we approve what we like and make it easier for you?
Yeah, and I'm open to suggestions. I don't know how
Not
to
quite
do
sure how to do that.
it. Correct.
If you have to check it and we want to approve it,
At least for the masterpiece, if you like the look of all of the homes, you could say that the 24 square feet requirement doesn't apply in sub-area D if you like all the homes.
And that.
and then you don't have to measure any porches in sub-area D.
That would be fine.
And my only concern is, we've had this in the past where, say you guys step aside and another builder comes in, and that's hard coded into it, and they start bringing other houses in that don't meet that, then we can't really change it back. So I don't know the answer to that.
We do have a situation in one development where we're on, I believe, the 3rd or 4th builder for one of the sections of the PUD. And what one builder has agreed to sort of carries over to the next builder, and then the next builder comes in and wants it waived. And
Yeah, I understand.
it's not always the nice people are up here presenting that you're dealing with. It's all of a sudden somebody else.
Yeah.
Can we require like a front elevation minimum or maximum width? That if it's this, the elevation, front elevation is this width, then the requirement is,
No, I mean, I think
the front porch requirement is not there.
I think you can if the petitioner is willing to do that. I mean,
But I'm saying also if there becomes another builder within that section of the development.
I
The
thought
builder
it-
would have to bring their
Right.
plans
Their
back
plans,
for review
elevations.
to ARC, right?
But they're still abiding by the PUD that is set forth at this point.
yeah, the concern is, so, you know, we strike out the porch requirement from Area D. That's easy to do. And if you come in and build the masterpiece series, there's going to be no problems. Everyone goes home happy. Something happens and another builder picks this up, they would have to meet all the other black and white standards, and they would have to meet the illustrative character and quality of your architectural exhibit in the PUD. But we have seen that is it's easier to administer and enforce that illustrative architectural character than it would seem to be. It's easier said than done.
So Ryan, are we not going through elevation by elevation like we typically have done? So again, like in the Maple Street series, everyone understands that, you know, we have designer, we have, you know, what used to be patio, masterpiece, but there's some concessions made or some, you know, understanding that this isn't masterpiece. You know, we're not trying to build that. Do we not do that anymore? We just go through elevation by elevation?
Yes, if we are going to go through elevation by
Yeah.
elevation, I was hoping to not go through 250 elevations tonight.
I think, I mean, he's called out some of the staff report, right? So the focus might be on those, and if nobody has any issues with the ones that aren't listed in the staff report, maybe we don't have to go through
Right.
those.
Or
Is
the
that
ones that were approved at Hampton Walk?
Yeah, or I'm even wondering if, and again, I'm looking kind of at the board here, you know, do you want to just have staff and petitioner work through some of those details between now and June and bring this back in June, keep them on their schedule for the June Plan Commission, but have them come back?
That would be my recommendation, and then just general guidance from where I'm at. I'm comfortable with all of the houses in the master class. I think I need to spend more time with the A, but so far what I'm seeing in the staff report, I think I trust the staff to continue working through that with you all, and I think we can get there on it. So from me, beyond what's in the staff report, I'm comfortable, especially with, I would be comfortable waiving the porch exception, but I know that you have to plan for worst case scenario, and that would be you guys pulling out. But just as a member of the committee, that's where my head's at.
Are you under any time constraints?
Always.
What are those?
Sorry.
What are your time constraints?
You know, just again, trying to get through this as efficiently as possible.
Well, if we approve some of the models, like there's a number of models in A that I don't have any problem approving, I think we could get through them tonight. Is that helpful or not?
It may be helpful. I want to say I'd like to be done at 10 till here, if at all possible, so we've got about 10 minutes.
Okay,
Or if there's a way to
let's
approve B, C, D and come back next month for A or something.
It may be more efficient to approve, you know, B or C or D or a couple of those than going through A.
well, let's start with D.
Are there sections that you're planning on opening first?
No, Mr. Ray, we'll have all sections opened at the same time.
Well, D is most immediately contiguous to where you're constructing now, isn't it?
D and
Isn't-
designer.
C.
D, designer.
Isn't D like right on Mount Comfort Road, just
It
south
is.
of where you're currently building?
It is. But so is the other area, the designer area as well. So it's not necessarily next, but it is contiguous.
Well, let's look at D first.
On the screen.
Okay. Can you kind of scroll through there, Ryan, and anybody call out if there's any?
And Ryan, I don't know that, I think we maybe had 2 of these that we did not approve. I mean, I'm maybe exaggerating,
I pulled those
but.
out. There was 2 in October of last year that you guys didn't like, and I pulled those out of the.
They're not in
So
here.
they're not in this.
And
show.
not plans, but just specific elevation, so.
Sure.
I haven't seen any concerns yet.
Me neither.
That's one thing I like about Hampton Walk is the variation in style, which you don't see in, I think, any of the other neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Maybe that's why it's so well received. These are side loads here? On
Some
the
of them
garages?
are,
Where it doesn't show garage door on the front, I assume they're
Correct,
side
yeah.
loads.
or courtyard. There's just a lot of variation on the garages in this price point.
So these might be courtyards here.
Yes, that one is, for example.
Mhm.
Did the Margot used to be a patio series home?
No, it's just a brand new home plan.
So if we move, and I don't mean to cut you off, I'm genuinely asking a question. If we move to accept the D package, are we accepting as is, or how do we bypass the porch?
Just communicating that to staff so that we can ensure that as we draft this PUD over the next 30 days, we do it, take it out of the area D or what have you.
And this probably makes it more confusing for the future, but is it possible to put something in the PUD that says that that exception to the front porch is only for this series of homes?
Oh, we probably could do that. That's a good idea. I'll make sure that our attorney agrees that we can do that, but if
Okay.
she can, yeah. That one seemed a little different to me. Maybe it's just because it's more of a modern look, but
Yeah, it's the modern farmhouse with the black windows, and yeah,
I just,
I like
it's
it.
definitely modern.
just seems like T11 to me. That's what it says to me.
It's not, trust me.
I know. It's not, but it looks like it from a distance like that. Almost there.
They look great.
Shouldn't be a problem with monotony
Hands
here.
cramp.
This is not an area where we have monotony issues, I can
No.
assure you. We have 15
There you
plans.
go.
And, 4 or so, at least 4 elevations per plan. Again, though, the average sale price on this is north of 600, 700,000. This is,
Well, they look like it.
they look like it, yeah. Again, and forgive me if I get passionate. We really, as home builders in municipalities, I feel like we have competing interests. I hear you always looking to better streetscape architecture. It's just really trying to protect some product for, again, those buyers that they're still getting great exteriors, great architecture, great streetscape, but that's just,
Well, we have
it's
people
getting
working in
little- it's getting
McCordsville
less
who are
and
driving
less.
from Muncie to find affordable housing. So it's not just McCordsville, it's central Indiana in general.
it's everywhere. It's across the
Yeah.
country, and it's a crisis. It's
Cost-
not.
it co-
And
yeah.
the
It's-
town has to just decide if
Mhm.
they slow down development until the economy is different. I don't know,
Mm.
but,
Maybe. I might make a suggestion, sorry. I don't want to interrupt you, my bad.
oh, I was just going to make a motion to approve the masterpiece series.
Would you
As
accept the
presented.
addition of waiving front porch size as a requirement, so it doesn't have to be measured
Specifically for this series.
Series
yes.
D? Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I might suggest we do Area B next. I think we can get that done in time, and it's got some stuff that you've never seen before, correct? Some
Correct.
newer products, so that might be a
Yep.
good one to get through tonight.
Yeah, this board has seen the bulk, at least some of the more
This used to be the
tenured.
patio.
Yes,
Now
this
it's
used
just
to
called
be,
design.
And which area is B? Is that the one to the north of A?
No,
it's the pink.
It's the one to the south of D, right?
Okay.
yeah.
It's literally right on the corner of 600 and 650, just tucked behind the masterpiece. But this has by far been the most popular product in Hampton Walk as far as pace goes. There is just a real need, again, kind of piggybacking on the conversation we just had about keeping some of that entry-level product. And again, I don't think it's entry-level, but for Hampton Walk it is, or maybe for this neighborhood. But then second to that is those looking to downsize, or what is now called right size. We actually have 2 new plans, and what we've rebranded our patio to be called Design 40 Lifestyle. These 2-story plans, again, are a narrower product that fits on a 52-foot wide lot. However, it has the owner suite on the main floor. So a lot of times with patio plans, you have a loft option or 2 or 3 more bedrooms, or excuse me, a maximum of 1 or 2 more bedrooms, secondary to the owner suite. On the 2 new plans we have, it just puts everyone upstairs. So you still have that livability that's on the first floor, which is what everyone wants. But then there is that really true kind of additional couple bedrooms, maybe a loft, additional bathrooms on the second story. Just how this consumer, lives, and that's their lifestyle.
So do the price points of Amelia vary quite a bit?
For a what, I'm sorry?
Amelia,
Does it vary?
yeah.
Not really.
Because-
There's a kitchen bump out option. When you start doing structural options, that's probably one of the more expensive options, if you will.
Well, the only reason I ask is like the first one, the American Classic, versus some of them toward the end. There's a lot more characters who go down the line, and they look like a totally different series compared to the first one.
Yeah, it's, we have updated most of the elevations on every plan so that, to your point, they do blend really well, the new plans and the existing plans. Is that what you're asking? Or just
Well,
the
like
Amelia
the-
elevations specifically?
The Amelia Modern Prairie versus
Yeah, we're intentional in wanting them to look very different.
the Amelia American Classic, they don't look like the same quality of house.
Oh,
I mean, that one, yeah, it has a lot of brick, but it doesn't really have much else going on. But if you go down to even that one or the next one,
I'll even keep going.
they look like a totally different level of house, I think.
That one's completely different.
that's
That
a
looks
prairie
like-
style.
It looks like an Area A.
Yeah, it's just to offer a variety again of architecture. Some people want a front porch, some people don't. Some people love that old, the traditional all brick front, classic, that looks like Indiana. It's just, there's something for everyone.
There were 2 that I wanted to point out and get opinions on. I think it was this one because it's a nice house, but it doesn't have the porch. So that's the Ivy Modern European. Then the other one was the Olive Modern Farmhouse, which the porch was questionable. It may meet it. Oh, and it had the transition without an actual transition. That was the other reason. Yeah. Those are the
This
only
one,
2
I
that-
think that transition
I
is
do
even
that
more
one.
important because that whole second level is flat, it looks
it's
like.
pretty flat. Yep.
Yeah. I like it there.
And for what it's worth too, this would be more of a front garage for our neighborhood. This is showing a side load garage, but it would be more, there would really be a garage door there in the front as well.
So we are approaching time, and we have to. Our next meeting is a partially virtual meeting, so it takes some tech setup. So I would like to at least get through B here and then wrap this up.
Any in B that anybody really doesn't like?
Do you have any of the Amelias that you want to
I really didn't care for the first one.
Amelia American Classic.
Yeah,
Just the brick, not the stone.
I wrote down the Linden American Classic. Need to go back and look at it.
What's that?
Said I wrote down the Linden American Classic like days ago when I looked at this.
Linden.
sorry, man, mouse makes.
This one?
You're fine.
Which one?
Nope. It's not that one.
That one.
Right. So she's. Okay. But were your Amelia American Classics both, or just the brick?
It was just the first one, which was the brick and stone. I don't think there was another.
'Cause this is.
Yeah, go right back
You were
up.
okay with
It's
this
up
one,
at the
though?
top, isn't it?
Which one? The Amelia again? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, she was just asking me which one. I'm actually fine with that because it.
But not this
Okay.
one. That's the only
Remember my-
specification I was trying to make was that there's two Amelia American Classics, but he's referring to the brick specifically.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I move that we accept the Area B elevations with the exception of the ones that we just called out.
Just,
So
is it
just these two?
just the,
This one and
The
the
Amelia
first one?
American Classic with brick and the Linden.
American Classic, I
This
think.
one on the screen.
Yes. I can't. Yes.
Yeah.
Linden American Classic with brick.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Of course, we're gonna have to figure out what we do with that whole porch thing on B.
Correct. I will work on that before we get back, come back next month. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
Thank
next
you.
month.
See you next month.
Next meeting, June 17th?
We move to. Did you move to adjourn? I move that we